Vishnu, I'm going to bring on our experts onto our coverage tonight because this is a situation that appears to be escalating with the pictures coming in. Again, a small disclaimer. Some of these pictures, some of these drone hits are not from precisely this moment. They are from minutes, even hours ago. We're depicting them. We'll try and get you accurate time information as well, so you have an accurate sense of when this is taking place, and not as if it is a runaway kind of situation. Things are, we are told, calm in many of these cities, but there are developments which we are reporting. Welcoming onto our coverage tonight, Ryan Ball is a senior Middle East and North Africa analyst at RANE. Daniel Carman is former Israeli ambassador to India. Natasha Hausdorff is a British barrister and lawyer. Brigadier General Asaf Orion is a retired Israeli Brigadier General and defense strategist. And Lieutenant General Raj Shukla is a former army commander. Welcoming them all onto our coverage tonight in a situation that is very much in motion. But before I go to my guests, since we've got an eye fixed on Dubai right now, where most of the pictures coming in are from the city of Dubai, I have with us Rahul Kulshrestha, who is in Dubai at this point of time, and I want to go across to him. Rahul, good to see you. I hope you're safe. And at a safe distance from where some of these more worrying pictures are coming from. The airport is shut, and I'm guessing you're not able to fly out. What are you seeing right now? Because the pictures coming in from agencies and social media suggest that multiple places have been hit, there have been explosions in different areas. What are you hearing and seeing, Rahul?
Hi, Shiv. We have come here for a vacation. And we were basically doing the touristy stuff.
Yeah.
So we spent the first half at the Dubai Mall, and then we went up the Burj Khalifa. And when I was on the top of the Burj, I heard a sort of blast. Wasn't sure what it was. Tried to look around, couldn't see anything. Then we started getting these reports that there have been attacks and that the Burj is being evacuated and the malls are being evacuated. By that time, by around 7:30 or so, we had already come down the Burj, and there was nothing of the sort because people were still going up the Burj Khalifa. Then we heard about this attack on Fairmont, and we booked a cab. We came back. We are staying pretty close to the Fairmont. I'm at the Atlantis, and when we crossed the Fairmont, I saw a lot of emergency vehicles, ambulances, lots of security drones flying around. But the streets as such were pretty okay. There was no panic. You couldn't see any major panic or anything of the sort. When I got back to my room, I heard 3 blasts. Couldn't see anything in the sky. It could have been, missiles that were sort of detected and blown up or whatever. But I did definitely hear 3 blasts over there.
No, but this is very key information that you're bringing us, Rahul, because you're saying that you actually heard these blasts. So that corroborates in some ways what we're looking at in these pictures. But the city right now in Dubai, because Dubai is a big city. Thousands of Indian nationals and expats also working there and living there. So there are lots of families in India worried about what's going on in Dubai. We're all flooded with messages about what's happening in Dubai. But what you're saying is, as of now, things seem to be calm around you?
Yeah, around me, yes, it's calm. There's only one point which I will try and switch my camera and show you, which is the area near the Fairmont, where there is emergency staff over there. And but otherwise, it's pretty cool. The hotel is pretty okay. I mean, it's a large hotel, lots of people there. So yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so there are emergency staff that you're able to see in places. But Rahul, the airport is shut right now. Are you receiving any information about how people are planning to get out? Because right now it looks like you, your family, and others who might have been trying to get out of there, at least for the moment, you're stuck because the airport is shut. No flights in or out.
That's correct. Actually, this was something which was a bit of a shocker. We came in yesterday, so we still have a few days.
Okay.
But, the airport has been shut down. What I'm showing you right now is the Fairmont. So,
Okay. Yeah.
That is the Fairmont.
Yeah.
And those are the emergency services that are there. I don't want to zoom anymore. And that's the skyline that I see right now.
We can see them with the flashing lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thanks for bringing us that picture. I just wanted to go across to Ryan Bolt, Senior Middle East and North Africa Analyst at RANE. Thank you very much, Ryan, for being with us. I'm really worried, as should we all, about the situation in the Hormuz Strait. 20% of the world's oil flows through that. Iran is now threatening to shut it down. They're telling oil tankers not to pass. What are the implications of this? Natasha,
Yes,
what are the implications of the Straits of Hormuz being potentially shut?
Yeah, enormous implications, of course, for international shipping that depends on that. This has very quickly become an issue of global importance, and it's a striking step that the Iranians have taken in this regard. Some may even say that constitutes an act of war, taking that sort of measure. But may I just take the opportunity to say and to respond in a way that I was not permitted earlier on your program to some of this Iranian state disinformation, which has found its way into your reporting, I'm sure unintentionally. We've had multiple reports, both from Al Jazeera, which blamed Israel for a strike on that school, and also, I believe, from Iranian state media, which said this was a US strike. That is what, unfortunately, you and many others in the international media have been repeating. The reality may in fact be very different, and we have the anti-regime media in Iran explaining that this school that has been referred to multiple times now in your coverage, the Shajara Taiba school in Minhab, is in fact located wall to wall with an IRGC Navy base on Rasalat Boulevard. And this is what we see time and time again with Iranian state propaganda suggesting that there was some targeted strike on an elementary school, when the reality is very different. Iran, just like its proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, may be seeking to hide behind civilians. In this instance, it appears that this school may have been intended to service IRGC combatants and their families. It is, of course, most unfortunate and entirely regrettable that any civilians might be caught up in these strikes. But the reality here is that Iran could have prevented this, and that consistent Iranian escalation and rhetoric calling for the wiping off of the map of Israel, calling for the destruction also of what it refers to as a large Satan, the United States, the United Kingdom also. This is a regime that has set itself up in opposition to the civilized world, and I would have thought that the visit most recently by Modi to Israel as a demonstration of support in these times when it was perfectly clear to anyone that follows developments in this region that this action was sadly inevitable, makes it clear also that these strikes are in support of Indians and all of those that care about a peaceful...
No, but Natasha, it's not about Indians per se. Let me ask you this question. The strikes have gone through, but there are those who suggest that if the intended goal is regime change, you don't do that just through airstrikes, and there are no signs of boots on the ground. And how does one assume that protesters in Israel opposed to the Khamenei would necessarily back America when their country is being attacked?
Well, I think we need to be very clear about the statements that we heard this morning from President Trump and from Prime Minister Netanyahu. Both made it crystal clear that the aim of these strikes was in response to the imminent threat that was posed by Iranian aggression, by its intention on obtaining a nuclear weapon, and its investment in its ballistic missiles program, that both US citizens, that those in the region, that Israelis, that these were all people under imminent threat as a result of that Iranian aggression. So that was the core of the motivation of these strikes, this combative action, as the President of the United States referred to it. Both of those statements, however, spoke about a corollary, which is that this is an opportunity for Iranians on the ground who so bravely stood up in opposition to this regime not so long ago, and who were slaughtered in their tens of thousands as a result, that this may finally be an opportunity with a very concerted US-led military effort against Iranian military targets, taking out IRGC leaders across Tehran, as we have seen today, and taking out weapons installations and core centers of the IRGC operation.
All right, Natasha, just give me half a second. I just want to keep the strike rotating, and I'll try and come back to you. Daniel Kauman, former Israeli ambassador to India. Mr. Kauman, how do you see this playing out? Is it essentially, from here onwards, a battle of attrition between both sides? How do you see this progressing?
Well, I'm not sure on the military side of it that this is the case, but we really cannot tell. I think we should, despite all the reports that are coming, and I really want to congratulate you on a very comprehensive program, very instructive too. We are in the first day, so many information is coming in. I think we should give at least few more hours to the first set of dust to settle in order to be able to comment. But if you mentioned a disclaimer and the fact that some might be fake, some information might be fake, I'm feeling very real and not fake, sitting in the safe room for 12 hours with very few, as an Israeli citizen, like millions of other Israelis sitting from 8 o'clock in the morning till now with very small intermissions between firing phases of rockets and maybe dozens or hundreds of booms that every Israeli citizen listens to. And very fortunately, we have the Iron Dome and the other kind of shields to this. But I'd like to mention the fact that by seeing the attacks, the Iranian attacks on so many regional neighbors like Dubai and Qatar, Saudi, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, all of those, even if some of them are so to speak American assets, still it shows what we've been preaching for many years. It's not an Israeli problem only. Right. It's a problem by all those who oppose state-sponsored terrorism. And state-sponsored terrorism is Iran.
All right. I just want to bring in Ryan. We've got the line back with him. Simple question. How do you see this going? I mean, do you see this ending quickly? Or do you see this, continuing? Iran is a very large country. I don't think the military can be defeated overnight. I don't think it's anybody's expectation that that's the case. But how do you actually see everything changing? Do you just believe that decapitation alone, assuming it takes place, will trigger regime change? What about a line of succession which they would potentially already have factored in?
Well, in terms of length, we've got some natural constraints to this. The first is munitions and air defenses on both sides. The Israelis and the Americans don't have endless air defenses. Those will run low. That will weaken the appetite for continued fighting. Now, that could be up to 2-3 weeks, which is what we saw last June. One of the calls for the end of the conflict was that Israel was running low on air defenses. So that's one of the key things to watch. And of course, the Iranians also have their stockpile that they're using up and is being destroyed at the same time. So whichever of those factors kind of reaches a critical threshold is when we'll start to see the diplomatic off-ramps become more viable, because this is a very much an escalated, open conflict where both sides are trying to inflict maximum pain on one another in different fashions. Now, your second question, decapitating the Islamic Republic, killing the Ayatollah Khamenei, may not have much of an effect, in part because Khamenei is already 86 years old. His succession plan is secret, but it's probably been in place for some time. And the Iranian government has set itself up so that when its officials are assassinated, which does happen and has been happening more often, they have built-in ways of replacing those folks. There are, of course, thousands of members of the Islamic Republic's officialdom that can move up the ranks in the course of assassinations. And we've seen this with other organizations that the Iranians have inspired, like Hezbollah and Hamas. You can't assassinate your way through these sort of ideological organizations, but you can disrupt them. So there won't be regime change coming from the top, and there won't be regime change coming anytime soon. The things we need to watch carefully are, one, how long does this conflict last? Two, who bears the greater cost? Because it is possible that the United States does endure some unacceptable costs because of, say, an energy shock. An energy shock here in the United States would be politically fatal for the Trump administration. On the other hand, if in Iran, the disruption to the Islamic Republic is significant enough to allow rebel forces to organize and take ground, that could be the beginning of the end of the Islamic Republic. But we're nowhere near there yet.
All right. So just hold on for a second. Shiv's got some breaking.
We've got some breaking news coming in right now. Dr. S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, has just spoken to his Iranian counterpart in Tehran. The Indian government has just had that conversation with the leadership in Iran. It was a telephone conversation with the Iranian Foreign Minister Syed Abbas Araghchi this evening. Dr. S. Jaishankar has shared India's deep concern at the recent developments in Iran and the region. We've also got some breaking news coming in from Israel, where India's ambassador to Israel, JP Singh, has spoken to NDTV's Aditya Raj call to say that the Indian embassy is in touch with all those who are stranded. The embassy has issued an advisory again and will be planning their exit through Egypt or Jordan, whichever route is safer, and the moment there is a window available. At present, the situation is not conducive for road travel, and that all Indians are being advised by the Indian embassy in Tel Aviv to follow advisories and local authorities' instructions. Aditya is live with me. Aditya, road travel not safe, not conducive at this point of time. The Indian embassy has sent out advisories. Egypt or Jordan could be the route of exit, Aditya.
Well, that's right. This is an exclusive we are breaking here on NDTV. I've just spoken to JP Singh, who is India's ambassador to Israel. You would have seen him with Prime Minister Narendra Modi just a couple of days ago when he met Netanyahu, and there were a bunch of agreements that were signed. And JP Singh tells me that they are in touch with, the Indian embassy is in touch with all the stranded Indian nationals who are here. That includes a long list of journalists as well, at least 7 to 8 who had come here to cover the Prime Minister's visit. He is in touch with them. He's planning, the exit of all Indian nationals from Egypt or Jordan as would be conducive. But right now, that moment has not arrived yet. He has asked all the Indian nationals to be in touch with the Indian embassy and also abide by all the advisories of the Home Front Command and the government of Israel. As of now, it's a very fluid situation, hence the exit cannot be planned. But the planning is underway, and when the moment arrives, when there is a green signal from the government of Israel, the Indian government will immediately swoop into action and help Indian nationals and evacuate them back to home country, India.
General Raj Shukla, I just wanted to ask you, this entire business of evacuations is extremely difficult. We've been very successful, in the first Gulf War. I think India holds some records, but with 8.5-9 million, people of Indian origin in that part of the world, there is no such thing as an instant evacuation, if at all it's required, right?
I think the evacuations that you are referring to have been carried out in pre-conflict situations. I mean, this I think is going to be very challenging when conflict has already broken out. And if I may just, add a couple of thoughts on the events of the day.
Please.
I was just wondering as to how a president who had campaigned so vigorously on no forever wars and no regime change has got into this operation. If you listen to his video that he released publicly in the morning, it was pointedly for regime change. So, when I was reflecting on that, I was just wondering, till I think last night, the Omani foreign minister seemed to suggest that the talks were progressing well. In fact, on the nuclear enrichment issue, the Iranians had kind of agreed. They had also agreed to bring their stockpiles down. The sticking point really was the ballistic missiles and their ICBM capability. And Prime Minister Netanyahu was worried about the hypersonics, the Fateh 1 and the Fateh 2, the one with hypersonics in the terminal stage and the other with the hypersonic glide vehicles. And he was saying that if these missiles begin to target Israel, I mean, it would be, the consequences for Israel would be bad. And I think in all of this, there was some intelligence to suggest that there was a gathering of the president, the supreme leader, and Mr. Larjani in Tehran. And I think that is the big gamble that was taken in form of these decapitation strikes. And while here the Americans and Israelis have achieved some successes, the fact that Mr. Khamenei is alive, Mr. Peshkian is alive, and Mr. Larjani is alive, that kinds of complicated matters. Because the hope was that along with these decapitation strikes, the Americans would take out the ballistic missiles, and then, through Mossad and the Kurds, you could foment some kind of violent uprising. So I think if this was the grand design, it's not off to a very good start. And the second thing I would like to highlight
Brigadier
is that
General Asaf Orion also joins us at this stage. General Shukla, half a second. Brigadier General Asaf Orion, I'm sorry I've kept you waiting for a very long period of time. As somebody who's been in the military and as a strategist yourself, give us a sense of how long Iran can sustain the kind of attacks that Iran is putting on it. The reason I say so is because surface-to-air missiles are very expensive. They take time to build. Whereas Shahid drones, which are increasingly more advanced, they operate in swarms, will put a lot of pressure on your systems. How long can Israel continue to defend?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Let me propose perhaps a different angle to your question, because it suggests the arithmetic of the frontier, as Kipling wrote it, as it's being ballistic against defenses. But ballistics should also face attack and strike options. So rather than shooting, a $15 million interceptor SM-3, if you can kill the launcher and its team with a $50,000 missile, with a drone laying overhead, it's a different mathematic. Second to recall is that the dire straits that Iran is facing, I think, is the worst than ever. Combine and compound the economics, the uprising, the coalition facing it, America and Israel itself. And I think it's difficult to discern through your own visuals of about 4 clips on the incoming side, replayed again and again. I just read the incoming reports from the IDF spokesperson, who this morning, the IDF completed 500 strikes in western and central Iran, and not a single visual is coming from Iran. So just to get a better understanding of the whereabouts. Second is, of course, what we are watching is Iran not sponsoring terrorism, but actually conducting terrorism. It holds hostages the whole region, the whole neighborhood, the world energy market, because it's displeased about what. So actually, they're executing now the hostages, including India's residents of
all right.
those countries.
General, I'm sorry, I'm just having to interrupt you now. We are slightly short of time on this bulletin. I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us.